Namaste. Welcome, beautiful souls. Happy Saturday. And we are well into Gemini season now. So I have a couple of thoughts about how I want to work with the energy of Gemini season over the next few weeks as well, too. So, what is the order of what's going to happen here today? I do have some new decks that I want to share with you, so I will be doing that. And in some way, I do want to honor World Tarot Day tomorrow. So I think what I will do is give away a reading. So if you can come back and make a comment later about why you would like a reading, then I will honor that. And this will be a Zoom meeting, or it could be an email reading. That would work as well too. I would like to do that. Give back to the subscribers, the viewers, the members, all of that. So I will speak more to that after, and then excuse me. I also want to, I'm going to carry on today with this discussion of that arose with the swords and the wands. And I'm going to start going through the suit of swords in the 3 earth-centric decks that I have been sharing over the past 3 weeks. Those decks are linked below in the description box, as well as a link to an event. So one of the decks that I've been discussing over the last few weeks is Mythologia Fennica, and there is a seminar on June 7th, and it is a Zoom seminar. It is linked below, and if you're interested in that, as well as the Kickstarter link for the Greenwood Tarot, which is a deck that I've been sharing in this last few Saturdays. So if you need other information, please ask. I'm happy to share in any way that I can. So welcome to Catherine and Patricia. Thanks for joining me live. And those of you that are in the background and coming in later, please join in the conversation as you feel ready. So you can see a dinosaur over there. Something that you should know, let's see, maybe not necessarily, but something about me that you might not know is that when I was in grade 1, first grade to some of you, I didn't learn to read by the conventional reading system. I learned with an alphabet called the IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet. And I had a really amazing teacher. We had a piano in the classroom. She played the piano all the time. I believe she was a ballerina as well, too. She had a really cool name. Her name was Daphne Miles Pickup. And I saw her as recently as 10, 15 years ago. I ran into her somewhere and recognized her. She looked exactly the same. Wonderful, wonderful lady. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you this story is that part of this journey was learning the names of the dinosaurs. And of course, we wrote them in the IPA rather than in English. And she sort of instilled in me a love or fascination of dinosaurs. And some years ago, I saw this dinosaur, Marseille. I forget what year it first came out, maybe 2018, I'm not sure. This is the dinosaur, Marseille. And I thought, oh, too bad it's out of print, because that's a deck I would just have sort of as a connection to childhood, if that makes any sense. And so I'm just going to leaf through a few cards today and just sort of talk about this deck, because it does have another connection of a series eventually that I will get to on my channel. Okay, so hopefully the light will adjust. I did turn off a lamp because it was shadowy. Whoa, I guess I need to bump the light. We'll try that one. Okay, So the colors in this deck are really pretty. They're really pretty. And I did read through a great deal of the guidebook, and there loosely are connections to the particular selected dinosaur to the major arcana. And I think the reason to use this deck, if I were going to use it as a reader, would just be that connection to wonderful memories, childhood memories. There's something kind of endearing to me about the dinosaurs. And it's funny because I've told some of you I work in special education, and and these are older children that I'm working with, and a couple of them have fascination with dinosaurs. And so I may take this into work and share this with a couple of them. I think it's really quite lovely. Will I do readings with it? No, I won't do readings with it. But there's something very thoughtful here, so the right hand of the charioteer has the red dinosaur, left hand of the charioteer has the blue dinosaur. And there are in the card descriptions some kind of cool, thoughtful connections between the choice of dinosaur, whether it is a herbivore or a carnivore or an omnivore, different things. And the 10 card is evolution and survival of the fittest. And so what's really interesting is that, this deck, the cards, being in the Marseille tradition, are in French. However, the guidebook is in English, which is really helpful for me. And I just received it. I did a pre-order for the second edition some time ago. So yeah, it's very happy. The suit of swords is the suit of ferns, which is really pretty. And I thought about going out into the woods to photograph some of these cards. And I'm not really an Instagrammer by any means, but I think this deck is worthy of photographing outside just for fun. Yeah. And, like we read the plants into these cards, and I would need to do a side by side and kind of have a look. And then of course we have the ammonites here. I love ammonites. Did you ever see that movie? I think it was called Ammonite. That was a brilliant movie. So 2018, this deck came out, the first edition. And this is a second edition, a second printing. However, what I wanted to say was I want to look at the choice of additional creatures to look and see how their interaction with that element plays into all of this. Yeah. Now, this deck also, what I also wanted to say was that there are extra cards with this deck. So the major arcana is not in the Minchiati tradition. However, there are all of the extra Minchiati cards that come with this deck. So we have more planets. So we have Sun and Moon within the major arcana. And then we have 5 other planets for the 7 classical planets. And then we have the other, oh my goodness, I'm drawing a language. Hope, faith, charity, virtues. We have the other virtues here. And we have season cards, which I really liked how she wrote about. Hi Dee, welcome. I really liked how she wrote about seasons of life, and that reminded me of a series that I did not too long ago. So So there's season cards, and then there is the humor cards. Sanguinity, phlegmatism, melancholy, which also connect to elements. And then there is, instead of a happy squirrel card, oh, here's a little book. The happy squirrel card is another creature called, last we see the happy squirrel, or in this case, the happy tree shrew, for the squirrels have not yet been invented. The newest card in the deck and the newest sort of life form in dinosaur country. He reminds us not to be dismissive or careless of the apparently small and weak. They may have different powers. We are all descended from this furry scrap, although in his day he may not have been considered king of anything. So yeah, so what I thought I might do is I could, when I get to doing a Minchiati series, is have a look at some of these cards, because I know different Minchiati decks have different extra cards. However, this deck, the Major Arcana, is not in the tradition of the style of the Minchiati deck. So that's, I don't know if that's a problem or not. And these are the cute card backs. So that is one deck that came into my hands this week, which was kind of fun and exciting. And some of you have been following the series that I am doing. I broke it into themes for Nova's tag, the one that is decks that I recommend for various topics. And I did the connecting with spirit one, the deity one. And one of the things I didn't do, where are the decks I want to share with you, was include any oracle cards. And because I decided that for this whole series, I am going to use only tarot decks, just because it would be too many decks. And I have done some videos on various goddess oracles and been quite frank about the artwork and various things. And I don't have a lot of goddess and god oracle decks. They just, the Tulku Oracle is beautiful. It's one that's always, it hasn't been around that long, but I love that one. And it has some demigods and gods and goddesses. The one that's in hand here is one that I will never let go of. This is in one of these old video plastic boxes. It is the same artwork as the, I call it the shamanic deck, oh my goodness. Maybe somebody in the chat can put it in the title of the tarot deck. This is Guyan, Sylvie Winter, and Joe Jose. And it'll come to me. And so this is an oracle deck by the same creators, and the cards and the artwork is just beautiful. And I don't know why I would ever need another one. I have another one I'll show you in a second. But this one is really beautiful. It's hard to find now, but I love it. And it's got a lovely guidebook that goes with it. And honestly, I prefer working with the goddess oracles as opposed to even the dark goddess tarot. I find it really hard to do more than a one card pull. This one has been a long time favorite. The Goddess's Knowledge Cards, paintings by Susan Sidon Boulay. And the thing about this deck is that you get a lot of information on the card backs. And the paintings are just beautiful. Just beautiful. And so if you're looking for inspiration in this direction, again, this is another deck that I would never, ever let go of. The paintings are they kind of transport you away, and the writings on the back are just lovely. So When I do this kind of thing, people always say, "Whoa, Sadhana, do you have this deck? Do you have that deck? Do you have this deck?" And I was, oh, I'm going to have to leave these out. I just forgot how gorgeous. These are so gorgeous. Who is this? Minerva. Wow. And such an inclusive deck, also from many, many traditions all over the world. People always mention the goddess decks by Lisa de Saint Croix. And I went to her website recently and I thought, you know what? I need to have a look at them in hand. So I did order her goddess oracle decks. They seem to have a great number. This is the box. This one is a round deck. They seem to have also a great inclusiveness as far as pantheon goes. And some I have never heard of before. And it's also really interesting. You know, I have done this with plant decks and so forth, and I've pulled out, in this case, I may be pulling out all the Hecate or Hecate cards, or the Aphrodite Venus cards from various decks and comparing and contrasting the art style and the information on the back of the card. Love this green Tara card. This might be my favorite in this deck. And Ganga. Ganga's often not included, and I think that is that's wonderful. So Ganga is the river. Ganga is anthropomorphized as a living being, and this is the goddess representation of the river Ganges in English, right? So yeah, so quite a few from the Hindu pantheon. And this just makes me smile. I know Baba Yaga is in a few of the decks that I have. Know this story well. And Amaterasu. So I will be working with this. However, the deck that caught my attention, and I have been really wanting to see, is this one, the Sacred Union Oracle. And today, as I was preparing to come on here, I'm thinking, wow, this is kind of a great deck. And you know what? This little deck also comes with this wood stand. So very nice. Love those little touches. And it's in a nicer box too. It's in a magnetic closing box. But as you know, we are in Gemini season. This card is from Mel Maline's deck. And I'm thinking that for a personal study anyway, and maybe I could do this, but to use this deck, which is called Sacred Union Oracle, to deepen my awareness with the archetype of the lovers. And these cards are really something. And many of these relationships I am fully aware of. So this one is Shiva and Shakti. We are two halves of a whole, equal and opposite energy, masculine and feminine. So non-duality. So there's a sort of a keyword and a short description for each card. But I think this was going to be starting today after I sign off, or maybe I'll draw a card now when I'm done, and do a daily or every other day pull, because I think this is a powerful connection to Gemini season in terms of the nature of Gemini and duality. So really kind of happy at that. I decided to get this one as well too. Yeah, this one is We Wa. I am two spirit, embodying both male and female, performing male ceremonial rites of my Zuni people, weaving and making pottery as a woman. I see the world through eyes of both genders, mediating and representing all. So I would need to do some research to see what country Wewa is from. Yab Yum. There is a Yab Yum. I mentioned the Tulku Oracle. There's a Yab Yum card in that deck as well. Athena. So yeah, I am definitely gonna do that. So let me just do a quick overhand shuffle. Oh, and those of you that are following me in the Arthurian series, I didn't do a video this week. I'm got a lot going on, but this is a very disappointing card. This is, of course, King Arthur and Guinevere and Lancelot, and this is a card of love triangles. So if that is the only take from that period of time, isn't this beautiful? This card kind of had me mesmerized. Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Yeah, and there are some erections in this card, and if that's upsetting for anybody. So I think I will, let's see, I'll just come over here and overhand shuffle and draw a card for this 24th day of May, connecting to, Gemini season and Dee's birthday. I'm not sure what day your birthday is, Dee, but I know you are. Let us know what day you are in Gemini season. I find this archetype just so full of mystery, and it's hard to sometimes get a handle on what this archetype wants to reveal, at least for me. All right, so this is Oshun and Shango. Oshun is water, softly yielding. Shango is fire, iron hard power. River attracts lightning. In thunderous drumming, sizzling, passion fertilizes. Complementary, opposites attract, creating steamy connection. So what I might do is I'm going to get a new page in my journal, and I'm going to sit and reflect on the Lover's card. Maybe I'll pull out one of Mel's guidebooks. She writes great guidebooks. And then I'm going to put this one in my beautiful stand as I am working here this week. So yeah, so those are 3 new decks that came my way this week. For someone who doesn't get a lot of new decks, I feel very blessed. Yeah. Okay, so what was on the agenda for today other than that? Oh, okay, so let's go back. Some of you came in late. Happy birthday, May 27th. Ooh, that's very soon. What I want to say here is that tomorrow is World Tarot Day, and I want to do something for that. I can't broadcast tomorrow, so I will give away a reading, let's say 45 minutes-ish. And if you would like to be in the draw for that reading, please leave a comment below, and I will announce the winner next Saturday. Okay? And I'll also change the title of this broadcast to say that there is a draw for World Tarot Day. Do a post or something. Okay? All right, so shall we get back to this, for me, very interesting discussion of wands and swords. And sorry if my squeaky chair squeaks. It's comfortable and it's old. This is the Greenwood Tarot. This is a first edition. And so when we move into the suit of swords, we're in the suit of arrows. And if you recall, the suit of wands is wands. Okay, so we're this conversation came up because in so many decks there is a lot of swordsy words in the wands descriptions. And so my question here today is, as we begin to explore the suit of swords, where is the fire in the suit of air? Because there's a lot of air in the suit of fire. And it wouldn't make sense that in decks where there is so much allusion to air in fire that there wouldn't be keywords that connect us to fire in the suit of air. However, it's not as prevalent because I've been, of course, reading these guidebooks. But this is a lovely, happens in the Wildwood as well too. So we have the spark of life for wands and the breath of life for the suit of arrows. And they are inextricably linked. And it's so interesting in the spark of life card how this is central channel. This looks looks like a chakra drawing. It looks like Sagittarius. It looks like the bottom of the tree of life, shooting straight up the Sushumna Nadi, up the central pillar of the tree of life, and moving us from, let's say, the sacral chakra to the Manipura chakra, to the solar plexus chakra, as the Sagittarius card, Major Arcana Sagittarius card, moves us from the Sephira of Yesod to the Sephira of Tiferet, from moon to sun. So I like that. Anyway, and then I will share with you some of the stories, the wonderful stories in this deck. I think I will try to do Ace 2, 3 today. So let me go back here. Where am I at? 4 of Swords, 2 of Swords, Ace of Swords. Birth of Fire for Ace of Fire. And we have the Honeybee, which is such a beautiful card. And this is Mythologia Fennica, if you haven't seen this deck. And this is such an important card to me, the healing energy of the bee. And I want to expand upon what Susanna Salo has written in her guidebook today. But there is definitely connections in this deck between the fire of the bee, the activity, the action of the bee, and the stinger, the preciseness of the intent of the action. Yeah, and then the other deck that I have been sharing is Margaret Peterson. And as you know, her words are really quite something. And this is a gorgeous suit in this deck, the suit of feathers. And we have this lovely iridescent peacock feather, which of course is only found on the male birds. Masculine suit. Just thinking about that. And the Ace of Flames. Yeah. Okay, so let's start with the aces. And I will endeavor to weave this all together as to the best of my ability. You're welcome, Dee. All right, Ace of Feathers. This is Margaret Peterson. She's always an easy one to start with, just because I love her language. And I don't know whether she wrote this English version herself or this is in translation, but I find this guidebook truly extraordinary. Mental clarity and being one. The peacock's feather represents the iridescent nature of your thoughts. Isn't that lovely? When was the last time you thought of your thoughts as iridescent? It symbolizes immortality, royal dignity, and vigilance. And I think with royal dignity and vigilance, I sense the energy of fire. There's definitely a strength there. An imagined, in reality non-existent, segment of a circle was drawn with a sharp sword of your intellect. So you can see there's a window around the feather. The mind mirrors the manifold qualities of the world of thought. Sharp, crystalline, analytical, subtle, and extremely sensitive thought vibrations. Direct your attention to your breathing in and your breathing out, and realize that the limits of yourself are not really real. Notice that you're becoming one with infinite space. And so in this card, we have this potential to connect with the vastness of the element of air. And this is such a big suit as far as connections go. The suit of air is the lungs and the breath of life. And here we go. So it is fueled by the power in the body, right? So it's fueled by the fire. The lungs don't work without a life force energy to help them along the way. So there we go. So there's a first connection. Where is the fire in the suit of swords? All right, so from the Greenwood Tarot, I just want to talk about this. Now, this same image is in the Wildwood Tarot, so I'm sure most of you have seen this chalk. What do you call it? Chalk image, chalk drawing on Uffington Hill. And I want to go to Aces. The Uffington Chalk Hill figure, breathing the vitality of life, a renewal of vitality, combined with knowledge and where you wish to be and how you wish to get there. So there's this idea that the thoughts must take form. And again, there you have this idea of you can't have the suit of swords without the energy of fire as well. Okay, now I'm not going to share all of the what I'm starting to figure out in this lovely book here from Mythologia Fennica Tarot is that for the time being, I am going to choose one of the myths because there are several that are offered for most of the cards. It's just too much for me to remember, but the one that makes the greatest connection. And so this is in the words of Susanna Sallow. The bumblebee was the benevolent helper of Kala Vala, who came when summoned. It flew to aid when Lemminkainen lay dead on the banks of the river of Tuonela, and fetched a balm for the mother of Lemminkainen, with which to revive her son. Lemminkainen's return from the dead is a tale of the omnipotent power of motherly love that grants women the power to cross the border between life and death. The source of the revitalizing balm was a bowl or a spring that resided in the realm of gods beneath the world tree that grew at the center of the world. The keeper of the spring and the sacred powers of the world's center was a life-giving, protecting goddess. 3 fates or 4 maidens who weaved the inkles of life with gold and silver yarns. The spring of eternal life was also called Milk Lake. And when I think of these healing qualities, I think of some of the stories I know from my own experience, and one where my yoga teacher, sorry, I've been gardening, look at my fingernails, the things that come across in live streams. One of my yoga teachers prayed and prayed for a baby and a partner to support her through life and through her yogic journey. And there were several things that had happened to her sacral chakra physically, and she was told she would never have children. And when she was at the ashram in the ashram in Rikya, she found herself in a garden and was stung over 100 times, and was fortunately taken care of by a doctor at the ashram and many of the other senior sannyasis, and she survived. And the blessing of the bees has always been known to be fertility. And somehow all of these stings, the connection with the bees, restored her ability to conceive. And she did find a lifelong partner. And I think part of the story goes that it was her promise. It was her promise. It was her promise to Swami Satsangi that if he would find this partner to support her, I forget how the story goes. I'm sorry, it's not my story. She would devote her life to his teachings. And so she has. And she did get pregnant and have a child and find a lifelong partner. And I find that story just really, she wrote a book, and the story is included in that book. It's a very easy, short to read book. If you want to know, let me know. I'll link it for you. So what I want to say about this is that the Suit of Swords is the element of air. And often the card that trips us up early in this journey is the Three of Swords, right? The bleeding heart. And we tend to forget that the element of air is Tiferet. It is the center of the tree of life, and the element of air is the heart chakra. And that there is this union also of fire and water, mother and father, king and queen, that comes together with the knights in Tiferet. So there's all these connections through yogic teachings as well as Tree of Life teachings. I'm sure there's others as well too, that have this power of healing and love and heart with this particular element. And I'm sure that you also know, hi Clevis, welcome. I'm sure that you also know that this suit is not always connected to the suit of air, and has in some systems of tarot been connected with the element of water. So I find this just lovely. Now, there's something else here, and that is a further description for this card. The bumblebee had the ability to travel to the afterlife to fetch the life-giving and healing nectar. Skipping ahead, the bumblebee is associated with diligence and industrious labor, but also altruism and a willingness to help that comes from person's inner spring. The bees work for the common good. It's a messenger of healing and well-being in relationships. This is what I wanted to say. This card refers to sincere love and friendship, as well as forgiveness, and acceptance. So that to me says a lot, that this Ace of Swords and the archetype of the bumblebee is about healing. And I think one of the greatest healings of the heart space is forgiveness. Bit of a journey for some, but yeah. So that's the Ace of Swords. Where is the fire in the Two of Swords? So we have, in this deck, we have injustice. You can see the imbalanced scales, as opposed to the Two of Wands. So we sort of have a powerful opening in the Two of Wands, and almost like a collapsing of energy in the Two of Arrows. In this deck, we have a sacred opening, where the birds flying south navigate through to get to this land of bliss. And I'll read about that as well. And so in the Two of Swords, what this makes me think of is the inner gaze and the turning to this place of peace. Sometimes in the Two of Swords, you'll see a blindfolded figure. And for me, that always feels like a healing balm looking inward. So for the Two of Wands in this deck, we had Birth of Iron, and we had the Wasp, and all of this fiery energy, and lots of elements interacting to create this opening, to create this potential in the Two of Wands. And this one, oh my goodness, this is beautiful. So in the Two of Feathers, there is mention of the space between, the moments between, the sacred space between, the space between the thoughts. And isn't that one of the beauties of meditation, is this ability to begin to, and I say begin to, still the mind, so that we can acknowledge the space between the thoughts. And in this card, we are looking at a magical vortex, what do you call it? Like a portal that the birds fly through so they're safe in the winter, the space between. And I want to find it here as well too in the Injustice card, which has got quite a limited description. Let's go to Margaret Peterson. Bring the stream of your thoughts to a stop. Observe your inner dialogue through meditation. Realize how chains of thoughts are formed and how they freeze into automatic thought patterns. Doubting and pondering just for a moment, let your thoughts come to a standstill. Feel the power of the space that lies between a dying and a newly forming thought. And there's something quite magical about the similar colors in the deck center and the deck on the right, the pinks and the blues. There's a softness here. This card is called the Folk of Lintu Koto. And again, I apologize for my pronunciation of any of the Finnish words or the older words. Unification of celestial and mundane energies is one of the main keywords, key phrases. Unification of celestial and mundane energies. I think that's beautiful. Unification of celestial and mundane energies. And I think where the imbalance happens is when it is too focused on the mundane, and we're not able to see the bigger picture. Therefore, we must learn to close our eyes. It was believed that far in the south, where the heaven and earth meet, there was an opening through which the migrating birds flew to south for winter. This far-off land was called Lintu Koto, the home of the birds, or the winter land, and its inhabitants were known as the folk of Lintu Koto, or the sky vergers. The Milky Way, known in Finland as Linnunrata, literally the bird track, was thought to be the migrant bird's nightly guide, a current in the sky that showed them the way to the distant Lintu Koto. The Sami people called the Milky Way the bird's step, or the guide of the birds. The Finno-Ugric people of the Volga region, to the Finno-Ugric people of the Volga region, it is the path of the wild goose. To the Khantis and Manis, it was the path of the ducks. A great tree, perhaps an oak, has also been seen as a symbol of the Milky Way. The tree's stem was the north and its crown the south, and ogres used them to predict the weather. The stem told them when it would snow, and the crown whether spring is drawing closer. Okay, but this card tells of the need for solitude, for a place without worries. And this idea that the birds were kept safe in the winter in this beautiful land of Lintu Koto, I think it's beautiful. Susanna Sala goes on to say, you may have experienced hardships lately, or perhaps your life has grown dull and gray, and dreams of something better help you to seek new routes towards a happier life. Perhaps things truly would be better somewhere else, or if you lived your life differently. But the folk of Lintu Koto also bears a warning. Old troubles have a habit of following you to the new circles, and the facing and solving of problems helps to move forward. That's when the island of blissful may be found inside of you. If your fantasies about Lintu Koto are related to running from your troubles, you're not likely to escape them. And I've always seen this card as the little high priestess, and you know how they are always able to find this space in between, almost like the space in between, if we look at the pillars and the veil and the path between the high priestess herself, the path to enlightenment. She is on the tree of life, the path from Tiferet to Keter, and it's a very long and, for many, unattainable path, but she is there at the top of the tree of life, holding space for all of us who want to see the bigger picture and find this gap, find this space where we can know peace and rest to understand the bigger picture. And so I think the silence is really important here. And navigating between the mundane and the divine is not something we all make time for. So where is the fire? Is there fire in these cards? Well, perhaps it's the discipline, the drive, the will to meditate, to make space for this, that what one realizes in this space requires follow-up. It's not just a matter of getting lost in meditation. And that's something, too, that often hits a sore note with me. I've been called a navel gazer by more than one person and had yogic practices sort of shunned. But that's not why we go into meditation to get lost. There's always good work to do, greater work to do. Yeah. Okay, so let's do one more card today. 3 of Arrows. This is the greenwood, jealousy. You know, in the wildwood, this is a target on a tree, bleeding life force energy. It's a kind of a powerful card. But I think what I said about this element being the element of Tiferet, the element of the heart chakra, the element of air being the element of the heart, helps to understand and build connections. This is a sad, very sad story in this book. Liye Kyo are the spirits of, well, the primary myth that's shared is of babies that have been killed by their mothers, illegitimate ones. So I suppose this would include abortion as well as full-term babies that then are buried and their spirits are not able to live a full life. So there's a great deal of sorrow and shame and loss and grief and guilt and all kinds of things built into this particular card. And I will read from her words. And here, just like in the 2, we see the moon in the background. It's coming a little bit clearer into focus. There's a 3rd sword, and we do see the spilling of blood into the water. It's like the moon is bleeding. The moon is bleeding. And so, Margaret Peterson touch and pain, a necessary cut that liberates you. Okay. We must, so what does 3 represent? Growth, right? Growth and expansion. So we grow through the element of air. How do we grow through the element of air? How do we grow through this space? And often there is a harsh reality, a harsh lesson that opens up our heart, or has the potential to open up and cleanse our heart so very fully. A necessary cut that liberates you from old fears and feelings of guilt. Memories trying to tie you to old patterns in experiencing and thinking, just as the blood on the feathers is not real but only red paint. Repetitive memories of past hurts and also without reality. Repetitive memories of the past hurts are also without reality or substance. By cutting and separating, you can touch upon something new, a new destiny, and an expansion of your mental capacity. However, with this card, a great deal of courage is required. The ability to move through the 3 of Swords requires some of this will and power that comes from the suit of fire. I don't think we can do this without courage, without some strength. Yeah. All right. So let's go to this very sad story. The Lienko is a ghost, child ghost that tried to gain the passers-by attention by crying. Illegitimate children were outcasts of communities in the olden days. The strict norms of society and fear of punishment made some women to strive to hide their unwanted pregnancies, and then to kill the child and bury it without being noticed or to avoid being ostracized. Usually the child was buried in the woods or beneath the floor of a house. The mother's social status remained the same, but there was no rest for the child who had been denied its chance to live and then buried outside of churchyard without being baptized. If a stranger stayed in the house overnight, Liekio would try to contact him or her through the traveler's dreams to show where it was buried. The bones of numerous unwanted children have allegedly been found this way. Liekio tells of opportunities left unused, of sorrow and loss. These losses may be related to relationships, or they may tell of forbidden feelings. Liekio is born from a great injustice. And just think of that, right? The injustice of not being able to carry a child because it is illegitimate. And I'm sure all of you know women that have been in that particular situation. Some part of you, or an idea, or an aspect of development isn't getting the room in your life that would require to emerge. And I love this particular application of the meaning of this card. So something that you want to bear, something you want to grow, something you want to build is not getting the approval, the support that you want it to. This expansion of understanding is brilliant here. The restricting energy may be coming from within yourself or from outside. Your community's attitudes may not support your own growth. Guilt may rear its head because of past mistakes that won't allow themselves to be forgotten. Face your buried memories, and the energy linked to them will be released. We are here to grow and develop, and every step, even if faulty, supports it and takes us onwards. It is through mistakes that we learn. So I think this is, despite the pain of this card, I really, and I'm talking of Three of Swords in general, I think it's a really important card. Guilt and grief and loss are very difficult aspects of life to process, and we often are either so busy that we don't take time to move through this, or we don't acknowledge it and we kind of sweep it under the carpet. Oh yeah, I'm good. When somebody says that, they haven't taken the time to process it. Culturally, sometimes, some cultures are great at processing grief, and others not so much. So this is a really important card when it arises. It's wanting this growth and expansion through the suit of air. It's wanting the lungs to expand. It's wanting the heart to expand. And in order for the heart to expand, it needs to release something. And often that is some sense of grief or guilt. And I think all of these decks do this beautifully, more so the two center and to the right. Jealousy being one of many feelings or aspects of pain that the heart might move through at a time like this. So I'd say that the element of fire, though it is not mentioned in the guidebooks in the way that the element of air and the keywords for the element of air are repeated over and over and over, is certainly implied in all of these cards. And I also want to remember myself that, well, on one hand, if you're working with Golden Dawn correspondences and you have this Wands, Cups, Swords, Pentacles things, Wands, Cups, Swords, Pentacles order, and you hold meaning through that Yod He Vav He, that the suit of swords does indeed carry the energy of wands and cups with it. However, for those of you that work as with the suit of swords as the first element, it can have a slightly different energy, and I don't know how much weight you put into that sort of contemplation, but these are all questions for us to continue to explore as we go through these cards. And I think what I'm going to do is I'll go through the suit of swords, and then I will leave this discussion to the Arthurian decks that I'm working with. I just needed to expand on this a little bit. So thank you. Thanks for joining me today. And if you missed the opening, through Gemini season, I'm going to choose a card every day, every other day from this beautiful deck from Lisa de Saint Croix, because I find the duality of Gemini season to be, and the archetype of the Lover's card, wherever you have gone, you're right here. It's a very complex card, and I'm hoping that this little bit of extra time connecting with this archetype will give me some additional layers of understanding. Always looking to be a better reader. Really interesting. Look in the background of this one. It's almost like there's honeycombs in the back. I'm going to get out Mel's book and read about that. So thank you. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Namaste.